Did a lot of talk about Ron Paul recently. You know, he's moving in Iowa, and he's getting momentum. So people are getting very, very, very nervous. And the reason for that is that Ron Paul does have a philosophy which is libertarianism, and he sticks to it, and he's just go at it for years and years and years. And now people have been discarding him as a political buffoon, are realizing, wait a minute, there's momentum behind him. There are people, American folks that are voters all over the United States, that are willing to look at what he is saying and support his candidacy. So not being able to defeat his ideas, then they come up with the latest thing. You know, it's like they're gonna smear you. They're gonna go out there and say things about you that fabricated or not, but they're gonna just throw them out there and see what sticks. So the latest thing is that Ron Paul is a racist, and I'm thinking, okay, so how is it that Ron Paul, is a racist? It's not about what he said about any black people. He didn't say it, I could not find anyway, because they claim, well, in his newsletters he said bad things and racist comments. And I'm thinking, okay, which one are those racist comments? So I've looked and looked and looked. It's the same thing. Somehow someone in his newsletters, which he said he has not in fact himself wrote, which is not unusual, and he has not read them at the time. He didn't read them at the time, which is not unusual at all. As a business person, I delegate tasks to my employees and my business associates. And to be honest, I sign stuff that I have never read. And it's not uncommon at all, because the only way you can do business as a young entrepreneur is to delegate tasks to other people. Otherwise, you micromanaging everything and you just can't do it. So it is not surprising to me as a business person that Ron Paul would delegate the task of writing his articles in a newsletter to somebody. And in fact, even if you read what in fact they have said, there is no real intent of racism anywhere that I can find. Yes, they may have said things that are uncomfortable for some. Meaning, okay, when he said something about, order came back into Los Angeles when, the blacks need to go get their checks. Okay, that I can understand and I can appreciate. That could be perhaps a little bit uncomfortable, maybe even offensive to some. But you know what? I could say hello to someone and they could be offended because I'm black, or because I'm white, or because they don't like the color of my shirt, or because of whatever they want. People can be offended regardless of what we say or do. That's their right. It is also the fact that if you are gonna blame someone, accuse someone, disparage the character of someone, you must have your facts right, and you must have some evidence that shows intentionally he wanted to offend or to harm. In fact, better yet than offend, he needs to harm someone and have the intention to do so, have the intent in his heart to harm someone. Has Ron Paul done that in words or in actions, in his attitude to any person, black, white, or yellow? No, not to my knowledge. Nothing that I can find on the internet or anywhere else to suggest that Ron Paul is a racist. And yet, the media, who in my opinion is intellectually dishonest, goes on and on and on. Ron Paul is a racist. Please, people, get real. Get real. Get a real job. If you are claiming to be a journalist, investigate. Get your facts straight. Do not go and use words that you know the definition of the word racist is someone who is intentionally wanting to harm or believe, in fact, that a race, black, white, or yellow, is superior to another race. Is that what you're going to pin on Ron Paul? I don't think so, because the evidence is not there. So instead of trying to address the issues and compete on the issues, non-intervention, let's talk about a foreign policy that would be at least within the bound of the original intent of the Constitution of the United States. But no, we don't want to do that. We want to blame Ron Paul and disparage him and say things like, oh, he's a racist. Now, that's not a charge because you could not defend it. So therefore, they are using a charge word. A charge word instead of a real charge because intellectually they are dishonest.